It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of March 10th, 1995. We got 4 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and get right into it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is the star-studded ensemble medical disaster film from director Wolfgang Petersen, that is Outbreak. Remember when COVID first started and everybody went to Netflix and saw this movie in Contagion and said, "Let's talk about how great these movies were because they were ahead of our time. They were ahead of what they were showing us what the future was going to be like when we have an actual major outbreak like this." And none of these movies ever really what turned out like this. And more importantly, none of those movies were either good. Contagion is probably the worst movie Steven Soderbergh has ever made as a filmmaker. And Outbreak may very well be the worst movie Wolfgang Petersen's ever made. But then again, he did make Poseidon, so maybe that's not the case. It's one of the worst movies he's ever made, and I'm probably in that small minority of people that really do not like this movie because I know a lot of people really do like this movie, and I just couldn't get into it, man. I thought everybody in this movie was making stupid decisions one after another. Even the doctors who are supposed to be this smart and they can't figure out certain elements of this movie to work out. Like, they can't figure out where this monkey is. They can't figure out how this disease is being affected, and like, it's just getting so ridiculous. Like, even the film itself has been criticized because of the scientific liberties that it take. Like, on Wikipedia, if you go on there, it says that implausibilities include the virus taking over an hour rather than days to reproduce itself. The synthesis of a cure taking less than a minute rather than many months, and the injection of the cure producing immediate improvement. Like, the movie clearly is BSing with you throughout the course of the film. Like, I remember watching this movie in high school, and even in high school when I saw this movie for the first time, I was just like, none of this makes any sense whatsoever. Like, nobody really knows how to plan for this, and especially the people in this movie. Like I said, the smart people in this movie turn out to be real idiots because they make these ridiculously stupid decisions because they think, hey, if I make this decision, it's going to change everything, and it makes things a whole lot worse. And, like, you don't really get invested with any of these characters whatsoever. They're just playing stock characters. They're playing characters you've seen done in other movies a million other times. They're not enjoyable characters at all. Yeah, they're big names attached to them. Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman, Donald Sutherland, Cuba Gooding Jr., Kevin Spacey, Patrick Dempsey. Like, yeah, you know these names in here, but I'm sorry, the movie is not that investing or engaging whatsoever. And, like, nothing really exciting happens in this movie whatsoever. At least to me it is. And everybody just makes all these ridiculously stupid decisions in this movie that just, like, I can't really buy into it. I can't really get the appeal of it. And I had a lot of the same problems with Contagion, too. I thought the Contagion was just trying way too hard to try to do the same thing that Outbreak failed to do the first time around. And like I said, neither one of these movies prepared anybody for what COVID would do to the world. And yeah, I mean, at least to me, I didn't like this movie at all. I really despised this movie. I don't think it was anything entertaining. I don't think it was anything that thrilling. It was just a movie where everybody was making bad decisions, and the movie was applauding them for it, and not really giving into the real specifics of what really would have happened in this. Like, I just don't think it's a good movie. I just don't think it's a good movie whatsoever. I was really, really disappointed by this movie, and I've still been disappointed by it ever since I've seen it. It's just not a very good movie, plain and simple. Like, so yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. That's Outbreak. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Toni Collette starring in the Australian comedy Muriel's Wedding. Still the best movie to include ABBA music as part of the story. I will take this over any of the Mamma Mia movies easily. This movie is a ton of fun. Toni Collette is in here, really giving it her all as Muriel. She's very funny in here. You also have Rachel Griffiths from 6 Feet Under in here. It's a fun romantic comedy. It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too engaging or exciting in terms of storytelling, but it's still a really fun movie, and it works because these characters are just so much fun to be around, and you can relate to the main character of Muriel a lot, like this socially awkward person who wants to have this big wedding and improve her personal life by moving on and just becoming a new person, and I think everybody really wants that, and I think the movie does a very good job of doing that. This is P.J. Hogan, who would actually later go on to do My Best Friend's Wedding, which turned out to be one of the big comedy hits of the late '90s, and that was a fun movie too. But this movie really works on a number of levels, and it mostly works because of how well the cast is. Like I said, Toni Collette is very funny in this movie. It's a real fun film. I highly recommend checking it out. Muriel's Wedding. It's a great, great film. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Three Ninjas Knuckle Up. These Three Ninja movies have never been that great. I mean, the first one barely got by because it was seen as somewhat of a success at the box office, but every movie they make of this series just keeps getting worse and worse and worse with every single film. Like, there is nothing about this movie that's worthwhile whatsoever. Nobody was asking for it. Nobody was even asking for the last movie, but Sony made it anyway because they got the rights to it. And the worst part is, there's still another movie after this. But luckily, I think it went direct to video, so it didn't even bother going to the big screen. Okay, I'm looking at it now. It did go to the big screen. Shoot. It just keeps getting worse and worse, and I know I'm going to have to get to that one, but that'll be until 98, but, do I even really need to say any more about this one? It's Three Ninjas Knuckle Up, for God's sakes. Nobody really gives a shit about this series whatsoever. They're all terrible movies. Yeah, I got nothing for you. Three Ninjas Knuckle Up. So, let's end this on a much more positive note. Here's Russell Crowe playing a gay man in The Sum of Us. I mean, that's kind of literally the plot of the movie. I mean, basically, you have this man and his gay son. Jack Thompson plays the widower, Harry Mitchell, and his son is Jeff, played by Russell Crowe. Both men struggle in their searches for true love, but Harry is comfortable with his son's sexuality, and he's almost over-eager in his support for his son's search for a boyfriend. And Harry meets an attractive but judgmental divorcee through a dating service, and leads to conflicts between the two main characters. However, when Harry suffers a stroke, loses the power of speech, the story takes this darker turn, becoming a meditation of the enduring strength of love, both familiar and romantic in the face of adversity. And as you can probably tell, I read that off of here because I've never really seen this movie, and honestly didn't even know it existed. But I mean, just the idea of Russell Crowe playing a gay character is something that kind of intrigues me. Like, we don't usually see him playing that type of a role. We see him like as the muscular guy, the muscular hero, and like Gladiator and also in Man of Steel and Noah and those type of movies. But this premise does, however, sound really, really interesting because of the fact that it takes this dark turn that this trailer shows none of whatsoever here. So I'm actually kind of curious of how that pans out here. I never really heard about this movie, so I don't know too much. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say too much about it. But the premise in this trailer alone has me intrigued by it, so maybe one day I'll definitely check it out. But that came out this weekend, so that is The Sum of Us. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll look at the sequel to Candyman Farewell to the Flesh. We also have Bye Bye Love. We also have Losing Isaiah, Circle of Friends, and also For Better or Worse. So 5 movies to look at next time around, and we will do that on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.